Yeah. See, I'm a little concerned about this because it's as if there wouldn't be any sort of bias against certain individuals. Right. Mm. I have been systematically to exclude racial minorities from jury service. Yeah. Intentionally or unintentionally. Now, I've been through a jury trial and I wanted to kind of look at the jury pool. Yes. And then, well, I went through that jury trial May of 2012 where I was found not guilty. Yes. See, Washington law is equally clear and equally flexible. Yes. On multiple occasions, the court has held that preemptory challenge are not guaranteed under the state constitution, may be withheld entirely, and are subject to procedural changes over the extent they are allowed at law. It seems plain to us that the right of preemptory challenge is wholly a creature of statute and not of common law. This being true, we are unable to see that a restriction upon such right in the granting to wait. There's a lot of commas in this. Let's try again. Okay. It seems plain to us that the right of peremptory challenge is wholly a creature of statute and not of common law. This being true, we are unable to see that a restriction upon such right in the granting of it is any more an infringement of the right of a party than if withheld entirely, which of course could be done. Now, it sounds somewhat confusing, yes. It's almost as if, well, we don't really give a shit what the fuck you do. Kind of feeds. Now, the United States Constitution, the Washington State Constitution provide the right to an impartial jury. However, neither constitution requires peremptory challenges, nor does either constitution provide for any. Now, I thought I was on trial multiple times. Yes, the right of trial by jury shall remain inviolate. But you said that you didn't have to admit any evidence. Right. That I was being tried for violating a protection order? Yes. And you had issued a dissolution of marriage? Where more than likely the marriage was a fraud? Yes. Where my wife had harvested her eggs without my knowledge, and quite possibly kept my sperm without my knowledge. Oh my God. Yeah. It seems to me, yes, that every mental health evaluation and all the restoration laws do violate my right to trial by jury. See, you just said I was crazy. Now, if I was to look at the actual marriages of those that were subject to restoration laws, I would want to know, did their spouses ever lie about being victims of domestic violence? Yes. Having children that are victims of child abuse, pooch, or they were being victimized during dissolution of marriage proceedings. See, when you consider the fraud of the dissolution, yes, and then the fraud of the marriage, where I had been to ultrasounds with Zachary, Bishop, Deacon, and Maximilian, and my wife never told me of experiencing any cramping, but it was only the ultrasound of Benjamin that she had had that experience. I'm thinking that my right of trial by jury was violated. Sheesh, because of the fraud of the dissolution of marriage that tried to cover up the fraud of the marriage. Oh, now let's say I sued you today, right now. I put my name on this one. Yes. Understanding the nature of the state constitutional jury right in Washington, I think before you are obligated to a mental health evaluation, yes, you should have to have evidence Oh, probable cause. Yes. Witnesses. Ooch. And a valid marriage and a valid dissolution of marriage. Now, this periculum, yeah. He has the risk who has dominion or advantage. For all of those in office that have the risk, yes, it's because you have dominion over me. Ooch. Or those in law enforcement that have the advantage of law enforcement, you have the risk because if you ever fraudulently right now, well, judges, justices have dominion, and law enforcement oaths, badges, attorneys, mandatory reporters, and civil rights coordinators have an advantage. Ouch! Now, this dominion means you have the risk to make absolutely sure that you never do anything fraudulent. I think I'm going to use that in a lawsuit. Now, the buying and selling is complete at the time the price is agreed upon. Yeah. Did Heidi get paid for any of her eggs where she experienced that? Yes. Or did she get paid to have any children without telling me that she was only using me to conceive and birth my five sons without me knowing she was getting paid? Because it was complete at the time the price was agreed upon. Now, some of these transactions, they could take a decade. Pooch! I'm going to want to know, did she sell my sons? Did she sell my sperm? Did she sell her eggs? Did she buy the judge? Pooch. Did she pay law enforcement? Yeah. Because at the time that you agreed upon the price, yes, the buying or the selling was completed. Pooh! Now, emptor, a buyer buys for little as possible, and the seller sells for as much as possible. How much did she get for her eggs? I mean, when you think about the price, yes. I know my sperm wasn't worth a lot. It was a half a teaspoon. She said, "Well, $100 is fine with me." Now, the buyer was buying for as little as possible. What if you were negotiating with me for my own sperm? And I said, "Well, you want how many? 150 million of them, the average amount." In fact, I was reading the Cosmopolitan. It talks a lot about. They have an article in here. Yes. She would think that my sperm is worth very little. Yes, but you didn't negotiate with me. I would said, oh, how about $2 a sperm, $300 million for my ooch. Now I know whoever paid for it, I'm going to want to know what the price was and what was negotiated. Then now, how much did you pay for her eggs? Did she get paid for that? I'm thinking she did, considering the cramping and the discomfort that was experienced. Yes, I just want well, you know what it says here? Yes. The buyer was buying for as little as possible. The seller was selling for as much as possible. Now, let's say you had negotiated with me, and we had four sons at that time, and she was gestating a fifth. Yes. And then I said you wanted to have how much are they going to pay you for your eggs? I got a fucking. I was a husband. I would have disagreed with her pricing of them. Now, we were married, yes. I just wanted to know what the price was. Ouch. Because as a spouse, you would think that I'd have some say, yes, as for exactly how much she was selling her eggs for, because what she planned to use them for. To make little Paul Budniks? I think she got shortchanged. Now, once I find, because she was,